Hello, boys and girls. This lesson will open up our multiplication where we do two digits by two digits, and it's lesson number 5. So let's go ahead and get started. Whenever we do multiplication, we always want to think about arrays or the area model. For example, here we have ourselves an array. An array would be a perfect square or a perfect rectangle. And what we do is we count to see how many sections we have going up and down vertical and how many sections we have going across from one side to the other. So if we look at this one, we see that from the top to the bottom, we have 12 sections. And from the side to side, we have 13 sections. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then the other one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So as you can tell, we have ourselves, and let me pick my color right here. That looks good. We have ourselves a 12, whoopsie. Let me pick a smaller size. A 12 by 13. And that would be our multiplication problem. And the next part would be, it would be to multiply it. And you can count every single little square that's in here, which would take a while, or we can do different strategies. And I will be showing you the different strategies that we will be doing. Okay, so now let's take a look at the next part that we're going to do. For the next part, we're going to take out one of our note takers. So I want you to go ahead and take a look at your note takers and look for the one that says 2 by 2 multiplication. This is the one that we're going to be working on today, and it's got the title right there. So we want to go ahead and start. Let me make this a little less bright for you so that you can see it. There we go. And our words are going to be the ones in this word bank: the product, which is the answer to a multiplication problem, an open array, an area model, an equation, partial products, the distributive property, and the standard algorithm. Don't lose this note taker because you're going to be using it tomorrow and the next day. I'd also like you to add another word. The other word I'd like you to add to the word bank is the factor. When you have uh, some numbers that you are multiplying, you call those factors, and the answer would be the product. The next thing you would do is you would go ahead and fold it, and we would get started. This is our note taker. Let's start with this one up here. This is an open array, also known as an area model, and we're going to start with 32 times 15. Wow, that's a big number, but we're going to break it down. We're going to decompose it, and that should help us. So I take my 32 and I think to myself, 32 is also 30 and 2. 15 is also 10 and 5. That's if I was to decompose it, and that's what I would get. And I always want to put a multiplication symbol here to remind me that I am multiplying. So let's go ahead and multiply. What is 30 times 1? You're right, it's 30. And how many trailing zeros? 1. What about excuse me, 3 times 5? That's 15 and 1 trailing 0. 2 times 10 is 20. 2 times 5 is 10. Now, do you notice how the boxes down here are smaller in size? That's because these are in the ones place. That's why the boxes are smaller. But the boxes up here are larger. This one here is larger, and this one because we were in the tens place. That means that the box size would be different. Well, let's go ahead and add this. This would be 300 plus 150 plus 20. And I like to put check marks so that I don't miss any of them or count them twice. And I cannot add them up if they're in a line, but it's a lot easier if I add these up and they are stacked. So I'm going to stack them up here. So this is a 0, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 3, 4. My answer is 480. That is the open array, the area model. Very helpful. Put it in your notes so that you can take these out whenever you are multiplying 2 digits times 2 digits. Okay, so put your note taker away. You can glue it inside of your math journal. And now we're going to take a look at another problem. The next problem that we're going to do, the multiplication problem, will be this equation. 21 times 16. I can write it a different way. I can also do it like this and stack it up. 21 times 16. And this is how I would begin. Now, in order to do this, I need to know my multiplication facts. But if I'm having trouble with some of the multiplication facts, I can always look in my math toolkit and use my multiplication facts chart. It's in the middle of the section, so you're going to have to do lots of scrolling until you get to this section. And it is okay to use it. There is not a problem using it. Just make sure that you understand that these are the factors up here, and here we have the multiples. So let's go ahead and get started with this problem. How would I start this problem? How could I multiply it? Well, one of my strategies is using the block method, which is the array. Remember the one we just did, the open array, the area model. It has lots of names. So I noticed that I have ones, tens, and I have ones and tens. So I'm going to make my blocks, my little windows here that have ones and tens, and I'm going to multiply. So this is a 21, which is 20 and 1. This is 16, which is 10 and 6. And I can start multiplying this now. Great. So what's 20 times 1? It's 20 and 1 trailing 0. What about 2 times 6? It's 12 and 1 trailing 0. 1 times 10 is 10 and 1 times 6 is 6. Those are my numbers. Now the next step is for me to do what? Yes, now I have to add it up. So let me go ahead and add it up here on the side, and I put check marks so that I can make sure that I'm not missing any and that I'm not counting them twice. And you know what? Whenever I do multiplication, I always feel like such a grown up, like such a great mathematician, because multiplication is very difficult. And wait till you get to division and the long division. You're really going to feel like a superstar then. This is my open array. This is my area model. This is how I would solve this problem. So you are going to want to copy this, put it in your notes so you can have it for later. Now I've got one more thing to ask you. I'd like to ask you for a favor. I want you to write this inside of your math journal. Write this down. 27 times 53. Now, I want you to solve this problem using the block method. I want you to solve this problem using the open array, the area model, and please write down the answer. So I'll get you started because we have ones and tens, and we have ones and tens, and I'd like for you to do the rest on your own. So go ahead and press pause, work this out in your math journal, and then press play whenever you are finished with it. Great, so let's see what answer you got. So what did you get? What is your answer? First of all, we need to go ahead and break this down, so we're going to decompose it. Here I have 27, which is 20 and 7. And then I have 53, which is 50 and 3. Now I can use my trailing zeros and my multiplication chart if I need to. So what is 2 times 5? That's 10 with 2 trailing zeros. What about 2 times 3 is 6 with 1 trailing 0? 7 times 5 is 35 with 1 trailing 0. And 7 times 3 is 21. Perfect. So what's my next step? After I multiply my different numbers, I'm going to go ahead and add them up. So it is 1,000 plus 350 plus 60 plus 21. Now, if I'm making a mistake, please tell me so that I can make sure and correct it. 11, 12, 13, 3 and a 4 and a 1. Let's take a look at this. Is this the answer that you got? Check to see if this is what you got whenever you did this. This is very helpful. It's easy for our brains to understand what numbers we're multiplying, especially after we break it down. Remember that the box for the 7 in the ones place is usually going to be a lot smaller because it's only the one, it's in a digit in the ones place. And so is the box for this 3 because it's also in the ones place. All right, so that is also going to be in your notes for you to use whenever you're doing your work. Okay, now this is going to be your assignment. It's called Mr. Wind Cement. You are going to read the problem here. You're going to draw your area model and then tell us what the answer is in a complete sentence. So make sure that you are on the lookout for this page and your teacher will give you a copy if you are face-to-face, and it'll be in a Google document if you are virtual. Once this you must turn in. Make sure that you turn this in. Now let's take a look at the cool down. For the cool down, you're going to have to use words, and it says, why could the boxes be different sizes in the area model for multiplication? So think about what we said about the ones place and the tens place whenever we're multiplying. This is your lesson. This is what you're doing, your work for today, November 11th. I'm sorry, November 12th, which is going to be Mr. Wind Cement, and then your cool down. I hope that the notes are going to help you as you are multiplying. Please make sure that you use your multiplication chart as well. That is going to help you tremendously. So good luck and have a great day, Tigers.